Good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital. This is the Nightly Strategy Podcast for April 30th, 2022, weekend edition. Take a look at trade frames today. This is from Bob, looking at a 9-day frame on DWCPF. So the 9-day gives us like a 2-week look at about 2 years of data. It's in between the weekly and the monthly, so it gives us a nice change of pace. You'll notice the COVID sell-off. And then you'll notice the pain of this rundown here, which has given us a PSAR flip. The fall has gone into winter here, which was a pretty good indicator, by the way, of time to tighten up the hatches there and check the rigging. And now we have drawn to a, almost a 1.5 year low, and it has broken through the long-term fair value. We have a crossing of the baby dragon again. This would be the standard sniper short. Next target, Z3 at 1600, the Z-3, and then the Bollinger Band mean at 1400, and then the next thing would be a retest of the swing lows all the way back post-COVID. So steeply into the winter here. DWCPF is the U.S. total stock market minus the S&P 500. This is the all others piece, a much broader, diverse array of companies. It is what I look at to complete my view of the market. Here's Griff with the EWZ bar by bar from Friday. This is just COTA 2 only. Now he notes that COTA 2 is the most tiring because it's the most numerous, but it's also the most lucrative of the three primary patterns in the foundations. And he's doing a great job here of identifying exactly how to play that through time. You see there's quite a few opportunities in there. And what it really does, as he notes, is fill in the gaps between the start point of directional trading for us in the foundations. The upside start point is the supported spring crossing. You could see one developing right over in here. And the COTA 2 takes the iterative continuation patterns of that to the upside. And then the downside is a collapsing dragon, which you would see on his chart here. And the COTA 2 to the downside fills in the gaps of all the continuations that start with a collapsing dragon until that whole run is done. So the COTA 2 is the most numerous pattern. It's the most lucrative pattern. You see that it captures 6.85 here in a standard way, and I've got Griff working on building out a workbook of all of these trades that he's done over the last 2 months on a daily basis on EWZ so that you can build proficiency with that technique. He's done a great job, and we're going to turn that into a bar-by-bar workshop. So great work from Griff. This one integrates all of the patterns, the supported spring crossing, the collapsing dragon, and the COTA 2, so you can see that all on one page. And that still had a pretty good day, too. This is Caterpillar. From Ken H., and we're looking at the 3-part pattern here, weekly, daily, and hourly. And you can see that the COTA 2 setup, the trade frame setup on the weekly basis is halfway between the highs and the lows, so it's situated nicely in the middle. It's at the end of a daily frame sell-off that has found some support and is getting ready to break out and continue. Even though it closed poorly on Friday, a breakout above 216, we'd see that as positive, aiming for top of the dragon. And then the PSAR flip, the downside target is easy to see if it breaks down below 210. and that would be Z3, long-term fair value, and then further all the way down to the belly of the dragon. And you can see how that shapes out on the hourly frame, so he's ready to break in either direction in Caterpillar. Good frame. Wheat and precious metals. Ken H has been trading that one on the hourly and the daily. You can see the first one was a scratch. This is one where we would have wanted to get more, either with an exit here or here on the collapsing dragon. There's a gap in there that made that problematic. And so this is a good stop and reverse. Second position. He had framed a second position out of this, and this was the gap, and that's the next place he could get it. So now he's got 2 positions in, and this thing was failing harshly. So he's ready to go on that one, and by adding options to it, he's going to get a big payoff if this thing fails down to the previous support level. So pretty good looking work there. Here's GDX that has sold off harshly into a consolidation pattern around 35 at the last place support, really held in this cluster. You can see that it's midway between the peaks and the valleys of the weekly, so we have like a fence sitter set up, and the consolidation over the last 3 or 4 days has given us almost a COTA 2 here. So if this breaks out through 36, this would end up turning up, and that would be a COTA 2 in the making, with targets at 38 and then 40 in the usual way. And then the breakdown is easy to see. If this fails, next consolidation is down here around 31.5. So that's in great shape. And that connects with that wheat and precious metals sell-off and the vulnerable state that that's in. Natural gas, Ken H has a nice swing trade already built in that paid off. Here's the COTA 2 formation on the hourly that's getting ready to start. Technically, we could have entered here, but this would really be a continuation pattern if you did not take that trade. I don't blame you not taking the trade over the weekend, waiting to see what it would do intra-week and seeing what the weekend news would be. No sense to hurry. But if it breaks out above 25 and then above about 25.5, this thing has an unimpeded run, because that's a gap. It has an unimpeded run to about 27, so that makes this an ideal time to look to get long tactically. And then the short side is a first target down to about 23.5, and then if that breaks, it should come down to 23 nicely. Hard to see long-term how that fails because of the energy politics. SCO is the triple inverse oil. You can see that there had been some price relief in the price of crude, and then that's produced an inverse trade that's working. It's postured on the hourly right exactly in the middle, so this would be a fence sitter. A long shot easily to 5 3/4. Then the breakdown here targets 5, and if 5 breaks, 4 3/4 is certainly in play. You can see how this, as an inverse trade, looks like there is a cap in place on the long-term price of oil, and if there's any relief in that, then this should rise vicinity 7. So that's a good counter market trade right there. Here is FAZ, that is the triple inverse finance. Finance has been getting smoked lately. Had broken out of this consolidation zone, which on the daily looks like here. On the hourly, it looks like here. And now this is either going to follow through strongly to the upside, or the break back to 23 makes that a $2 move on about a 50-cent risk. So 4-to-1 reward to risk to the downside. And then if 22.3 fails, then this gets down to 21 and 19 in a hurry. This is one where you can see the turning point that's trying to be made, but it's already at a Z3 extreme on the weekly, so a retracement is not out of the expected, but a breakout to the upside could really run this up as far as 28. So finance is really in a critical state right now on every time frame. S-ARC is the inverse of the ARC. It has been just a brilliant trader on both weekly, daily, and hourly. There were multiple COTA 2s after an SSC on the way up. So this is one where it could either roll over, come back to 56, or continue to work to the upside. This one is attractive because of temporary weakness in Tesla right now. because of the Twitter kerfluffle, and so the upside is certainly attractive as a tactical play. The reversal is more of a belief in the long-term goodness of ARK, but that's a tougher sell to me. This looks like a good one to the upside. Here's a frame in VXX. If there's more volatility, this is going to run up. It's due for some more. If you take a look at this as a turning point, a return to volatility, and you can see what happens with those temporary spikes that can last a couple days. This is postured to really start another one right now, so it's prudent to have an entry just above 28 to be ready for a spike that could go to 40. So this is really self-protection. The recovery of, or the retracement of volatility is usually a slower slide, and there's better ways to trade that in the regular equities that are not quite so volatile. But VXX is certainly on the table right now. Merck has, along with all the healthcares, had a nice run up. This one that pushes up near the previous Z3 and the previous peak. You can see what happens when that cracks and how harshly these sell off when they do sell off. So this one is postured nicely for a sell-off that could bring it all the way down to 84, but if it breaks out above 89, we'll test 90, and then if it's above 90, it has a chance really to go to 92 and beyond. Great critical state in both directions on every time frame. Good find. MVIS Microvision Technology. This is a smaller cap. We don't trade this one much. This is one from his personal stash, but I like the COTA 2 that's slowly forming. You can see how true believers get behind this, could run it all the way up to 6, and it's only at 3. So a breakout here is a clear SSC. You could almost think of it as a COTA 2, and I like it in both directions. That looks like one for the not faint of heart. Here's one in Amazon. This cost Bezos about $40 billion in the last couple weeks, and a real rejection of the FANGs and everything they stand for, and a slowdown in the capital markets and the consumer markets as well. So a break below 24.50 is an easy C. However, this is a chance to buy Amazon on a 20% sale if it does start breaking out from here, and that's a way to begin to get back into that after a fire sale. So absolutely a critical state. Extreme on the weekly, daily, and hourly with extreme volatility. This is a Godzilla setup, and therefore a priority trade. ETHE, also a Godzilla, crushed on the weekly, the daily, and the hourly, but holding at a support level that has held in the past. And when it has held here, there's been beautiful run-ups. That is almost that's a 40% gain right there. This is a 30% sell-off. So here's an opportunity to begin that cyclic trade once more. All right, that's everything we got from the chat room, and we will discuss more on the creativity workshops coming up later tonight, and a few interesting ideas from the niche trader. So we shall see you later tonight. Thanks, and good night.